Well, you did it. For those that missed the original video, I made a video talking about the worst national ideas in EU4, more specifically, the mighty state of Mahafaly. As part of the challenge, I mentioned my previous record of subs gained on a video, which at that point stood at 480. But now, it sits at 1k. To be clear, it's a classic YouTube trope to say that you guys smashed the challenge. And while yes, you did, well, demolish the initial record, well before hitting the initial, 2-day mark, so within the first 2 days we were sitting at 600 and we beat the record in under a day and a half. So you demolished the old record. In truth, for the remaining sub-goals, you guys behaved more like a refined British gentleman. Never in a hurry, yet never late anywhere. You carried yourself to your goal with a calm demeanour to deliver your inevitable victory, leisurely, with the understanding that, in truth, your victory was all but inevitable. A victory that you knew that you would win, and one that you went ahead and secured, at your pace. A victory that I must now commend. There it is. Now, this is an interesting development. Of course, the sub gains are all appreciated, but I was hoping to have my cake and eat it too, as you will. I was hoping that the video would die at like 600 subs gained, and I could move on with my life, having the subs without the suffering. That, of course, did not end up working out, so here we are. In the future, though, another thing I've learned is that a lot of people informed me they were already subscribed, so that felt like they could not contribute to this challenge, which is fair enough. So moving forward, I'll probably be doing things such as light goals instead, or things that can be achieved even if you're already supporting me, since it almost punishes people that already do, and the last thing I want is to make you feel like you're missing out on contributing to a challenge or something if you're already subscribed. But either way, the time for negotiations, bargaining, or hopium is over. Now is the time for EU4. So, let's go over what this challenge, as it were, would entail. I need to conquer the world as these chaps, and to stick with the challenge, I still need to achieve this without changing their national ideas, meaning I cannot form anyone else. As a continuation of this challenge, I'm also going to be remaining tribal in the spirit of the nation, which means no going horde. Which certainly is very annoying, because I'm not going to lie, pressing this button here would make my life significantly easier. Furthermore, I'm going to be sticking with the original spirit of this nation, which means that I'm going to have to remain fetishist. One, because this is kind of part of the character of this nation and part of the challenge, and two, I'm actually yet to do a pagan world conquest, and I have noticed a couple monuments that are available if you're specifically pagan, or have an accepted culture, like for example, the pyramids over here, where they originally used to be pagan, or Stonehenge, and well, we can't see Stonehenge yet, but trust me on that one. So I think it'll be cool to mess around with it too, while I have this opportunity while playing the game. Otherwise, I also have to cover another area of, well, this challenge. This is not going to be a trivial run. So it's going to be quite bird heavy, or basically alter 4 resets for bad RNG and excessively bad events and things like that, that arrive at a bad time in such a way that completely devastate my nation, or do other things that are quite bad. For example, taking an extra stab here that would delay me getting out of a disaster if I'm in a disaster, for example, by an extra 20 years. It's extra devastating and makes it significantly more painful, in some cases maybe even preventing me from achieving the goals. I'm just saying this as a preemptive assessment I will be birding. Otherwise, I'm also going to be a bit more generous with what I consider an exploit. For example, normally if you have an event that would fire an advisor in question, you could, well, manually fire and rehire the said advisor, making them immune to the event. Before, I would not do this as something I would personally consider an exploit. For example, if you're getting the Radical Reforms event, you could just fire your 2 advisors so that you didn't have to actually get rid of them and just rehire them after the event, after you get your manic points. But this is something I tended to consider an exploit and not doing my single player runs. Although I have to admit now, for a run such as this, I'm going to have to be making a strong case for considering to do that kind of thing. Don't worry, no major game-breaking things will be happening though, or at least by my definitions, but I think that's an important thing to mention, for the purpose of being upfront about this. Furthermore, I will be playing an IMAT just as proof of no cheats, although doing it live is going to be better proof. However, since I may make mistakes, I'm going to be making checkpoints throughout the run, with my save game files, to which I'll be returning if a need arises. I have done this for some of my private runs before, as in creating the checkpoints, and in fairness I'm yet to actually use those checkpoints I created, but I'm going to mention them here too as another part of my planning and mitigating RNG methods. This is a way of preserving time in terms of the checkpoints. If I assume I can get to, say, a good situation by 1480, replaying from 1444 to get the same state I was in 1480 is kind of a waste of time for myself, and I'm not going to lie, it's probably not going to make it that fun for you to watch either, as I'll just be trying to follow what I did last time as close as I can to the letter. And I don't think that makes good content for anyone involved. With that said, I mentioned this before, and this is going to be done live. Now, I do intend to convert those live streams eventually into edited content, with help or without, but no promises there. I have no clue what I'm having for breakfast tomorrow. I don't really plan good for things in advance. With that said, what I do have planned is a series of streams occurring on both YouTube and Twitch. So pick whichever platform you prefer and come catch me there. A link to my Twitch can be found in my description, and as a special gift today, also in the top pinned comment. And for YouTube, great news guys, you're already here. The plan is to stream for 4 hours at a time, from 6 PM GMT to 10 PM GMT, so the same time as the 10K Korea Dream live streams, which comes to 7 PM to 11 PM for the fine chaps over in the Central European time zone, and is also a midday to 4 PM stream for the average American. Adjust by your coastline if you have any. With that said, the best way to make sure you don't miss them is subscribing down below if you haven't already subscribed. And since you're in the area, if you haven't given the video a like yet, that'll be appreciated too. Otherwise, yeah, it's going to be an interesting challenge, for lack of a better word. The start is less than ideal, but should be relatively doable. The issue, I think, for the most part, is, of course, that, well, we have very little in terms of actual buffs again for our world conquest. I mentioned previously that I selected this nation as the worst national ideas in the game, after, well, a spreadsheet resolution, and they certainly live up to that. I mean, the best buffs I have for world conquest here are -1 unrest, which is not exactly going to be preventing any major uprisings compared to just not being there. I mean, it's basically effectively the unrest you gain from some extra points of stability. Otherwise, in terms of the economy modifier, the best thing we have is some trade efficiency and a bit of tax right at the end of our ideas. And again, great, we have some light ship cost and stab cost modifier. That's not going to be the greatest thing out there, I'm not going to lie. And of course, remaining tribal does also limit access to fun reforms. Yes, we do have tribal despotism for 10-10% CCR, which certainly isn't a bad thing, but we don't have access to province warsaw costs, for example, for going down into a theocracy or things like that, which is going to be quite painful. Fetishist is going to eventually become a better religion, but it's certainly not going to start good, and we're going to be struggling with quite a bit of it in terms of the early game. But it is what it is. I mean, at the end of the day, sure, we may not have feudalism, but feudalism is right around the corner. So it's something that we can get to relatively quickly, I hope. And yeah, Kilwa is always going to start hostile towards us, so it's going to be a bit of an awkward open on that regard, but it is what it is. I can only dream. Anyway, I hope it's a fun run for me. I hope it's a fun run for you to watch and enjoy, or at least enjoy my suffering. So yeah, I think that's about all I have to say, which is good, because that's also all the time I have for today. A big thank you to all the people that supported me over at Ko-Fi, with a special thank you for Ark and Solar.